Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. So we'll discuss regarding Informatica Call Center tool, and also we'll learn something about ETL and ELT process. So let's start with ETL and ELT process first. Then we'll move to Informatica Call Center tool. So what is ETL and ELT tools? So ETL is like a extraction, transformation, and loading. And ELT is nothing but extraction and loading and transformation. So it's just like a process that defined as the extraction part, transformation part, and loading part. So these three parts, as a sequence have been defined in ETL process, is different than the sequence been defined in the ELT process. So in ETL, we extract the data from source and load the data to target. And in between the extraction and loading, we perform some transformation logic to change the data or modify the data or calculate something, and then we load into the target end. So that is about ETL process. We have few stages within this ETL process where we transform the data and one form to another form and apply some logic over there, some quality checks, and all the different business rules we apply. So in ELT process, what we do is it's an extraction thing first happen, and directly it will load the data to one target end where all the data will be done. So that extraction and loading part will be so quicker. Will the whole the data set will be available to the users for the reporting purpose. Now, as per the analysis, so data can be analyzed in various manners. So they have different engines to process the data parallelly. So the time can be consumed very less to hold the data, or else like if you perform the ETL process for billions of records, so it will take some time based upon the processing units. So the number of records will process based upon the processing unit or the time consumption for each row. It may take time around 30 minutes, 40 minutes. So that depend upon the system. So the same thing when you perform in ELT, so it will first within some few minutes it will load the data first, because you don't apply any business logic there. So after the data has been transferred to the target end, so while processing the data, it needs some high RAM processing unit and memories to process the data parallelly and give the computational output as per the requirement. So that is they define over here. The staging tables and all the processing unit will be happened in direct target end. The transformation and loading that will be performed directly in target end. After loading, transformation will be performed. It will check the real-time scenarios. So ETL is has multiple stages as I explained. The extraction and loading will be performed through various stages. And within each stages we change some data, modify some data, apply some logics, subjects, whatever thing we require, we do that. So until we load to the warehouse, we transform the data in each stage as per our requirement. Once the data is available in warehouse, there will be no change in the warehouse. The same thing applies here. The data, when it loads from a source to the target end, in ELT also, there will be no change in the file system. So the new records, new files can be done in the same manner. You can think about it. The new file systems that is being coming, so like the extraction of the new file, new data will be loaded with some different versions. As per the requirement, that version can be used. So that way it happened, like extraction and loading in ELT as well. So in the fancy this big data environment, nowadays everybody is talking about Hadoop. So Hadoop is nothing but a file system. It's a distributed file system for parallel processing. They have enabled it. They have multiple engines, MapReduce and other tools. They like to come up with like Spark, R, Python. These are the few programming and tools available to compute the data and calculate it and prescribe some result in a graphical manner and in a report manner. So that they compute from Hadoop. So like once the data is available in Hadoop file system, that reporting and analysis team, they can do perform tasks on that, on top of that. So like they take all the data and transform the logic and as per the requirement to publish the report. So that is all about ETL and ELT process. So now we'll move ahead with our Power Center tool. So, so now about Informatica. So what is Informatica? Informatica is nothing but a software company that has various tools and solutions provided for business and management. So for a few tools is like Informatica Power Center, Data Quality, Master Data Management, and Informatica Cloud. There are various other tools as well. It has different products for different uses, but I am listed few of them here. So we'll concentrate about Informatica Concentrate tool. Informatica is like it's a as it defined, it's a big data support solution for big data, cloud management, data integration, data quality, and data master data management. So Power Center tool mostly into data integration and data transfer tool. And data quality, having some plugins with the Power Center tool with the model repositories and all. So it can perform data quality stuff and data like data steward and data governance team. They can do various tasks on top of it. So now, as I told, discuss about ETL and ELT process. So Informatica can be done with all of these because see, ETL and ELT is just a extraction transfer and extraction loading that place in the first or later. So when we say extraction, transformation, and loading, so if you extract the data from source end and transform some logic into it and then load into target, then it called as a ETL. So think about it like we have various source system, various file system. So we directly take the files and I apply the business logic on top of it and load the data to our target end as per our requirement. That we will call as a ETL tool. So we can use Informatica to perform that task. Also, as ELT says, we transform the data from extract the data and load into our targeting without applying any logic. So that also we can do. We will extract the data from various sources and directly dump into our system, maybe into a file system or maybe into a targeting table database. So that we can do as extraction and loading part only without applying any logic, any change in the data. So that is the first thing, first stage we can perform. Another step we can do, we can apply business logic directly in the target end, in our end, where the target is. We use the Informatica over there and we can apply some business logic and load into the various tables. But yes, so it has different license costing for the parallel processing. So Informatica also has partitioning and all for parallel processing. That can also take different costing over licensing. But yeah, it is available. But maybe it has not that much of performance thing for direct processing as per Spark and other tools is there. But it can have that flexibility options. It can perform the transformation in direct target end based upon its requirement, your requirement. Okay. So this is the architecture about Informatica. So Informatica, it has source it has a server and it has a client components. So there are four client tools I have defined over here that you can see this circles like R with D with W and with M. So it is like wrongly typed as W. So it would be M. It's a monitor thing that is M. And this is W means workflow manager. and it is D for designer and R for repository manager. We'll see about this. So this is the wrong something has been typed. Uh, Sorry about that. So this is a Power Center client tools we have. We have server to domain that is including Informatica installation in a machine, and also it has a repository database. So we have few services that carried about our loading and designing things that called Informatica integration service, and also a repository service. So task of integration service is to load the data from source and target. The job will be executed through integration service only. But however, the data that is stored, the metadata that regarding the job, the logic that we defined and designed through designer tools or workflow manager, and everything stored in our repository database that is defined over here, right? So within this repository database, when you store something, we to communicate and read the data that is stored, or to store the data, like if you want to design a job and you click on save button, that job will be stored in this repository database, and that storing part and retrieving the job details will be carried through this repository services. So if our repository services is not up, we cannot connect to client repository tools or designer tool or workflow manager tool. Through that, we design the job and store into repositories. Now, when we run the job, that run command will go to the integration service, and we'll check with the repository service and fetch the detail, validate the job, and run as per our configuration setting. So now I have connected this client to the source and target as well, because we can directly fetch the details to design the source and target structure through our client tool. So it has a connection. So when we require to connect to source end or target end, we can connect to that, and we can design the structure and define the structure over there. And it's when we run the job, so through integration service, repository service will be called, and all the details will be fetched regarding source information, connection details of the source, and target information and connection data for this target. And also it will read all the business logic, and it will transform the logic to a queries, and that query will be run to fetch the data and load the data. Okay, so that is all about how Informatica process. So now Informatica, it processes the data row by row, and it like process one row, then it pick the another row and process the. There are certain transformations that wait until it get all the records from the source. So we'll talk about it later. But now this is the thing about Informatica Power Center architecture of the server and client. So if you can see, I have defined this part, the extraction part, that will be the sources. Maybe we have a database or a file system, and transformation that will be designed, that will be performed through integration service. So that's why I defined this transformation layer within this, and the loading part that will be performed in the target end. So it can generate a file, or it can load to a database. So that's why I have defined over here. So this is the whole complete tool that our architecture of Informatica by performing extraction, transformation, and loading. Now I will go through the admin console page of Informatica just to show you the services and domain and the node we have defined, and then I'll visualize you about the Power Center client tool, repositories manager, and workflow manager, designer, all the things. Okay. So this is my admin console link. So when we install Informatica, it will come up with the admin console page. So it will have some login credentials. So I have my administrator login credentials. I'll log in through that. I'm showing this tool, so the Informatica Power Center 9 version. But nowadays it has like 10 came up. So we have more fancy tools with a lot of information available with the 10. But anyway, the architectural part that is there for implementing a power center thing, that would be the same. But the only GUI and visual that is changed in Power Center 10 as part of Informatica uh, admin console thing. And there are few more flexibility options are available, and to monitoring stuff available with the server replacement, node replacement, the process is running on it. That graphical representation is there. That is not available in this 9 version. So this is about called about domain. So when I say domain, domain is just a collection of the all worker nodes. I'll give you an example which complete about this domain. So you can see domain is a collection of all the Informatica components and nodes, physical units that is there to run the job. A node is like a physical machine where you install your Informatica application, and a job can run on a node, and multiple nodes clubbed together called as a single unit domain. So a domain name would be one, and it cannot be multiple names, but domain processes can be run on multiple nodes to take over the host availabilities. So this is my Informatica Power Center repository service, and this is my Informatica Power Center integration service. So this is showing something the license that I have. Now, what is node and domain? So domain is basically it's a logical name representation of the collection of all nodes we have. So when you install Informatica, it will ask you when the first time the first installation on a machine node, that would be the first domain. So you can have any logical name that you can define over there to call it as a domain. Now you can give a name to the node, specific the machine that where you install that host name. You can provide, and you can give a name to that host name to call as a node where installation is there. So for my case, it is node 1, node 01 that has been defined. And when you install the second time on another machine, so that time it will give you an option to select whether that node can be acted as a host gateway or not. Now this host gateway, I'll show you this thing also here. It's showing like gateway, right? So gateway is yes. So likewise, if you have another node installed, you install Informatica in another machine, the installation will ask you to provide the domain information to join in a domain or create a new domain. So in that point of time, if you want to join to this domain, my domain, you have to give my domain name and all the details it asks for, that like that node name and all the details you have to provide. There you will this node will be another node will be added over here down this, and the status it will orbit, and this gateway, if you configured as yes there at the installation time, it will mark that yes. Now what is this domain configuration? So domain, if you configure domain, so see there is something called the dispatch mode and the resilience timer. So suppose my domain processes is now running on this. There is two processes, you can say, is a domain configuration processes and the worker node processes. Worker node processes is like something integration services configured on a machine to run a job. That is called the worker node. And domain processes, like if you mark it as a domain, yes, or gateway, first gateway as yes, so it will run some core services that will be controlled by Informatica. So if our primary domain that installed here, right, in this one, it is down, so automatically the node domain processes will switch over to the another node that is available and marked as gateway is. So it will be picked up based upon the performance and unit state and the processes available within that. So through a algorithm called round robin. So this is about our some brief definitions and discussion about domain and nodes and our Informatica. So the next session will go through Power Center client tools, and we'll start with how the data will look like when transferred through Power Center tools, like how the data will be fetched from sources and transform and load to type it. And we'll give an example also. Then we'll proceed on to that. Okay. So thank you guys. If you like my videos, so you can like it and subscribe as well. So I'll publish these videos weekly, 1 or 2 times as per my availability. So I'll prepare the video and upload for you guys.